Good afternoon, learners. Today we are going to discuss lesson number 11. The topic is on the cash receipts journal and the debtors journal. Okay, learners, for this lesson, you have to refer to page 150 and 151 of your textbook and pages 10 and 11 of your resource pack 2. Now, learners, I have condensed the notes in your textbook into this resource pack. So I am going to basically teach you how to complete a debtors journal. Remember, the debtors journal is used to record the credit sales to a debtor. Okay, I'm going to take you step by step through the completion of this journal. Let's look at the instruction. Complete the debtors journal of Euro traders for October 2019. Note, the markup on the cost is 40%. Now, learners, before I continue, let's go to notes to remember first. The invoice numbers are to be entered in sequence order under the invoice number column. That is why we provide an invoice column to you. Then there's a date column, the debtors column, the folio column. Remember, the folio is important for easy referencing. Then we have the sales column and the cost of sales column. Now, learners, the date is to be entered under the date column. And then we have the name of debtor to be entered under the debtors column. The number of the debtor that we acquire from the debtors ledger, that's to be entered in the folio column. Then we have the sales amount that is entered in the sales column, and the cost of sales is entered in the cost of sales column. We have created the cost of sales column here to remind us of the expenses or the actual expense of our products before we make a sale. Then to cast the journal means to add or to total up the amounts in each column. Now let us begin. We take note again, the markup on the cost is 40%. So October 2019, transaction on the 6th reads, issued invoice number 15 for goods sold to Star Traders for 5,600 Rand. Now, learners, I go to my debtors journal. Under the invoice column, can you see it's a 15? The invoice number is 15. The date is the 6th. The name of the debtor is Star Traders, as it is given to us in the transaction. I have indicated D1, that is debtor 1, for Euro traders. There are various other debtors like S. Singh and M. Naidu. So I have allocated a folio number to them. So we are going to enter the amount of 5,600 under the sales column. And then we need to now calculate the cost of sales because it is not provided to us in the transaction. So I am going to take you to the calculations on page 10 below. Here you have calculation of the cost of sales. We have 5,600 multiplied by 100, which is the 100%, divided by 140. How did I get 140? You remember our calculations that were taught to you in term 1, that is 100% plus 40% markup. When I completed my calculation, I arrived at the amount of 4,000 Rand. So I am now going to take this amount of 4,000 Rand and I am going to enter it under the cost of sale column there. Okay, learners, I hope you are following me. Let's go on to the next transaction on the 12th. They say sold goods on credit to S. Singh for 4,500 and the cost of sale which is provided to us is 3,000 Rand. This is a direct transaction, learners. We go to our debtors journal. That's invoice number 16 that is given to us. No, sorry, it's not given to us. We need to remember bullet number 1 there that states invoice numbers are to be recorded or entered in sequence, which means at any time, should they not give you an invoice number, you have to know that the next number follows. So in this case, it's invoice number 16. The date is the 12th. The name of the debtor is S. Singh, and he has purchased for 4,500 Rand as given in the transaction and 3,000 Rand as given in the transaction. That was a straightforward transaction, learners. Let's go to the following transaction. On the 18th, we issued invoice number 17 to M. Naidu. Here, we are not provided the sales amount. We are only given the cost of sales, which is 5,000 Rand. So I'm going to go to my debtors journal, invoice number 17. The date is the 18th. My name, the name of the debtor is M. Naidu that I record under debtors. Then I go to sales column. I don't have that amount of 7,000. Let's go to my calculation. At the bottom of page 10, I've got calculation of sales. That is 5,000 Rand. We start off with the amount that is given to us, multiplied by 140 divided by 100. That gives me an answer of 7,000 Rand. So the sales amount is 7,000, while the cost of sales is 5,000 Rand that was given to us. So I go back to my debtors journal. I record the amount of 7,000 Rand under sales and 5,000 under cost of sales. Now, learners, remember to cast the journal, we are going to add vertically. Right? So we total the amounts in each column vertically. So the total under my sales column is 17,100 and the total amount in the cost of sales is 12,000 Rand. So learners, I hope you are following me. We are now going to go on to page 11. Okay, learners, on page 11, I have provided you with an activity that was for you to complete and understand, but I have completed it for you, so I will take you through this activity step by step. Let us begin. The transactions below were extracted from the books of Gateway Traders. The instruction reads, you enter the transaction below in the journals provided. Cast, they say you to cast the journals. You must always remember the instruction is to cast, which means we need to add up after we complete the journals. Cast the journals. Then the next instruction reads, markup on cost is 40% again. So let us begin. For this particular activity, we are dealing with the cash receipts journal and the debtors journal. So immediately I'm going to complete the names of the CRJ and the DJ. So it's cash receipts journal of Gateway Traders for June 2020. I have allocated a folio number at the end there that makes for easy referencing, both for the CRJ and the debtors journal as well. It's debtors journal of Gateway Traders for June 2020. Dates DJ 10. So let's look at the transaction now. Remember, learners, we need to analyze each transaction and understand in which relevant journals we need to post in. So for the third, it reads, issued invoice. Can you see the word invoice here? Invoice means we have issued an invoice, but there was no cash transmitted. So issued invoice number 5 to N. Naidu for 2,800, which means N. Naidu has made a purchase from Gateway Traders for the amount of 2,800. Okay, let's go now. Because we have issued an invoice, we did not say that we have issued a receipt. If they state that we issue a receipt, it needs to go in the cash receipts journal. For this transaction, we go to the DJ. Can you see I've indicated it here? So when we are checking our work before handing in, we can make sure we have posted to the relevant journals. So we go to the debtors journal. Invoice number 5, can you see? 5. Date is the 3rd. I have effected N. Naidu's name there under name of debtor. Then I go to sales. It's 2,800 Rand. That is what is given to us. Can you see that? But remember, we have to calculate the cost of sales. How do I calculate the cost of sales? Keeping in mind that the markup is 40%. Let's look here. The markup is 40%. We have completed a lot of calculations during term 1. So that would help you to calculate the sales price and the cost of sales. So therefore, for the sales price, I am going to create my fraction. That is 140, which is made up of 100% plus the 40% there, divided by 100. And then to calculate my cost price here, I need to take 100 and divide it by 140. Okay, learners? So keeping that in mind, let's go to transaction for the 3rd. The 3rd, we are given 2,800. We multiply it by 100 over 140. Remember, I'm calculating the cost of sales. And cost of sales is always a smaller amount. Can you see the smaller fraction is 100 over 140. So it's 2,800 multiplied by 100 divided by 140. That gives me an answer of 2,000 Rand. So I will take this 2,000 Rand here and I am going to enter it under the cost of sales column here. Okay. I hope you're following me okay, learners. Let's go to the 9th. They say sold goods on credit. This time they use the word credit, which means immediately we enter it in the debtors journal. So sold goods on credit to K. Mudley. The selling price is 2,100. Here I have to calculate the cost of sales again. So I am going to go to my calculation. I will always provide you a little place in your answer sheet during exams for you to complete your calculation. So let's go there under calculation. On the 9th, I start with what is given, that is 2,100. That's in my transaction, multiplied by 100 over 140. Remember, learners, I need to calculate cost price. So I'm using this fraction here. So I come back here, 2,100 multiplied by 100 divided by 140. Which is equal to 1,500. For this amount, I am going to now post it to the cost of sale column in the debtors journal, 1,500. So let's go to the 18th now. I issued receipts to the following debtors for payment, which means if I analyze this transaction, learners, the debtors have made a payment towards their account and Gateway traders have received that amount. So that is why Gateway traders have now issued that receipts. Let's start. When we issue a receipt, that means we are receiving money in the business. So we are issuing a receipt to P. Singh for 3,000 Rand for receipt number 20. I go to document number, that's 20. The date is the 18th. I record P. Singh's name under details. I go straight to my debtors control column. We have created a debtors control column separately to indicate all the payments received from the debtors. That's 3,000 in the debtors control. And remember, analysis of receipt, 3,000 Rand. Can we bank it as yet? No. Why? There is another transaction on the same day, on the 18th. So I go back to my CRJ. They say issued receipt also to N. Naidu for 500. So what will my next document number be? 21. It is not provided to you. You need to know that the next document number follows. So we put a dot for 18. Then we have N. Naidu. We go straight to debtors control column. We received an amount of 500 Rand from N. Naidu. We record it under debtors control column. We are now going to analyze that receipt of money of 500. When I analyze, I underline the second amount and record the total. Remember, one total because two transactions on one day. Record the total of record the total of 3,500 under bank. So my instruction was to cast the journals. Let's begin. I will total up my bank column. That gives me 3,500. And the only other column that I affected in amount is in the debtors control. So that is also 3,500. Then I go to my debtors journal. The sales column, I have totaled up these amounts. I arrived at 12,320. And for my cost of sales, it's 8,800 Rand. So learners, this concludes my debtors journal and the CRJ. I will return soon with the following activity and lesson. Thank you. Keep safe. Take care.